It is the year 2472, and the Earth has suffered a great calamity. Hundreds of years of popular culture have vanished. Without the sacred films and texts for guidance, civilization is devoid of anything cool. Then, 3 incubation chambers are unearthed, and from within, men from the time of the great blockbusters emerge. Now, through highly interesting conversations, they share invaluable insight about what once was. The movies, the shows, the comics, toys, and books. This is
the hyperspace.
Podcasting in the 25th century.
Welcome in, podcast pioneers, to the hyperspace. Podcasting in the 25th century, the interweb's first and only podcast. My name is Ash.
And I'm Rook.
And we have a special guest with us today, Rook. This is your progeny. His name is Parker, correct?
Yes.
Okay. No, see, all that's foolishness. We're just making up alien names at the beginning. My name is Jared, and with me, as always, is Mike and his progeny, David.
My son.
You Klingon bastards, you killed my son.
You Klingon bastard.
Okay. Well, we thought for once in our podcast lifetime, we'd put out a timely episode. We're going to be talking today about Alien Romulus, which all of us have seen. And we should address right up front, Matt, he has returned to the 21st century to go on vacation with his family. What a punk.
Where are his priorities?
I don't know. He hasn't even seen Alien Romulus yet. So who needs him, really?
I was thinking about this earlier, and it's funny is he never sees movies when they come out, but he did catch like Furiosa. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
It was he's like, I'm gonna go see Furiosa tomorrow, and I was like, what? You're getting out of the house?
You're going to the movie? Matt is he's a very busy person, but he does prioritize movies. I think he saw one movie in the theater last year, and that was Indiana Jones, and then this year it's been Furiosa. So he's, he doesn't get out much, but I hope he's enjoying himself on vacation. But Mike, they say in the 25th century, no one can hear you scream. Is that correct?
Well, space is a vacuum.
Yes.
And your blood vessels would probably explode.
Yeah, you can't make noise in space. But anyway, David, I want to ask you a question. So you've seen Alien Romulus. What is your journey with the other Alien movies?
So it started with, we watched the first Alien movie, and I absolutely loved it.
Yes.
And then we watched Aliens, and then I absolutely loved it. And then from then on, we watched the rest of the movies. I hated Alien 3. I hated Alien Resurrection. I liked Prometheus.
Yes.
And I thought that Alien Covenant was okay. But I do actually think that in my opinion, I think that Alien Romulus is really great. I really loved it.
Awesome. All right. Well, that kind of sets us on our path here. Now, Mike, I'm surprised you didn't, knowing your penchant for strict chronological viewing order, you didn't show David Alien and make him wait until he'd watched Romulus to watch the rest.
Well,
because
when we watched them, Romulus wasn't even in production.
It's actually should be noted that now Romulus is the first chronological sequel to Alien. So let's dive in here. We're going to start with, this movie was conceived really as another straight to streaming film. Did you know
was
that?
it? No, I didn't know that.
After the success of Prey, the Predator movie on Hulu,
which was I think we all enjoyed quite a bit.
Yeah.
The powers that be said, "Well, hey, why don't we start creating an alien movie for the streaming service?" But as it went along, they thought, "Hey, this could probably sustain a theatrical release. Why don't we do that?" And it's interesting to note that this movie, I think everybody would agree that the visual effects are pretty top notch
Yes.
and it looks great.
It does.
Industrial Light and Magic did the visual effects.
Oh, did
But
they?
yes, and it was made for $80 million,
Yeah, I saw that.
which in Hollywood terms is quite a bargain, especially for a movie that looks as good as Romulus does.
I agree.
Let's dive in here. I guess I should say spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Yeah, there's spoiler. We're just going to talk about everything in this movie. So the movie starts, and I think we get a good slice of life and what it would be like to work for Weyland-Yutani. And it seems pretty crappy.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we got a glimpse of some people who work for him in Aliens, and they seem to be doing okay.
Well, that's true.
Mm.
That's true.
Pre, finding the spaceship.
Yes. But
I guess Burke did kind of set them up.
Well, see, that brings up an interesting question. Now, with the, obviously in the years since Aliens, and actually in the movie Aliens itself, it's revealed that the company, Weyland-Yutani, is basically everything they tell Ripley at the beginning of Aliens is bullcrap. They know because she's trying to tell them about a monster that has acid for blood and who uses humans to gestate in, and they all think she's crazy. And they dismiss her outright. But, then of course we find out, well, they know about the xenomorph, and they want to know more about it. They want to capture it and study it. And we find out in Romulus, that's exactly what's been going on for decades.
Well, the thing I really liked about Romulus and the way it opened up was they're going through the debris of the Nostromo.
Yes.
And and real quick, I want to say, well, when the trailers came out, I kind of quit watching them because I felt like the trailer was giving like a whole lot of stuff away.
Mm-hmm.
But the trailer only kind of really gives away the first 30 minutes, I would say.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot that is unsaid in the trailers. Although I do think that the final trailer gave away a little too much.
Okay, well, I did quit watching that one for sure.
Okay.
But anyway, I was really, it was kind of interesting to see like the Nostromo wreckage in space, and then they pull in the alien, and I thought that was a really neat way. Another thing too I really liked about this movie, I'll touch on real fast, is we talked about spaceship shots, how I love spaceships.
Yeah.
And man, you get it galore in this movie.
Oh yeah, 100%. And did you know that some of these spaceships were models?
Really?
Yeah. So they looked really great.
Apparently David's been reading up on this.
Yeah, he knows more than you.
Not really. I just know the budget. I just said yeah because I didn't know that there were models. They definitely didn't look like models.
Oh no. I mean, they look great. They look,
Yeah.
They look real. And I think they were trying to, there's a lot of people today trying to sort of recreate the look of older science fiction films, which I think we can touch on now. This movie sort of goes back to that analog technology of the original film, where you have all these old CRT monitors everywhere, and all the noise, the clicking and clacking noises that the computers make. I thought that was a really neat choice to keep going with that, since Prometheus, which is set years before the first movie, that ship was like was everything that 2012 visual effects could could bring to the screen with holograms and touch screen and super slick
Well, yeah, it's
interiors.
basically episode 1 compared to episode 4.
Well, I think I've sort of reconciled that by saying, that was Wayland's, flagship, and he was like a multi-trillionaire or something. So naturally, he's going to have more advanced technology than a bunch of space truckers, So
Well, yeah, even now, I mean, I don't think it's really too hard to reconcile because, you even now you have super nice technology, but in the deep corner of some business, you're going to see somebody using some archaic piece of machinery
sure,
that still works.
Yeah.
It's like, well, why get rid of it if it still works?
yeah, if it's still working.
And
Yeah,
the Nostromo
absolutely.
is just like that.
Yeah, I get the impression the Nostromo in the first Alien movie is probably already like 40 or 50 years old. It's just an old ship. But yeah, it's cool. At the beginning, we get this little salvage operation, and we find out that the alien that was kicked out of Ripley's shuttle at the end of the first movie has sort of like cocooned itself, created a cocoon, which they find and bring aboard this vessel that they're on. And interestingly enough, the alien from the first movie still has one more adventure to go on. We didn't really get to see it, but when they cracked this cocoon open, they found that the alien was still very much alive, and it proceeded to wreak havoc upon everyone there, and until it was finally killed. And we do get a nice shot of its corpse sort of hanging from
but I mean, I think there's a whole lot of story we were not privy to.
No, absolutely.
So, and that's fine. But
you think it was too much story?
No, I mean, obviously something happened. They had all these face huggers. They had them in storage. Like,
now, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they say they I don't know, there was some sort of cloning work?
I'm forgetting. Oh yeah, but where did the face huggers come from? Where'd the first one come from?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Because there wasn't a queen.
There's no eggs. So
where did man, we're kind of getting a little ahead of ourselves. But one thing one thing I liked was I liked the setup, because when I saw the trailer, and this was my concern when I saw the trailer, is I thought it was going to be a bunch of stupid kids going on sorry, Matt just messaged us and it distracted me.
Put your phone on silent.
That popped up on my computer. Well, I thought it was going to be a bunch of stupid kids going on like to rob a ship, and then they do, they unleash this alien and cause a bunch of havoc. And I'm not real sympathetic to those characters when they do stuff like that, let's go do something stupid. But what I really liked that they did in this one is it wasn't that at all. They set up the lead character. She was kind of in a, she paid her dues, and they cheated her.
Yeah, they said you have to work here for another 10 years or something.
And so then her boyfriend shows up and he's like, hey, there's this derelict ship. No one's on it. They may have some sleeper cell things, and we can go to where we want to go. And, I was completely sympathetic to that. I was like, okay, I mean, sure. I totally bought into that. I totally accepted that. And then I really enjoyed I really enjoyed the process of them getting into the ship. I don't know if David remembers because he looked at me, but when they're crawling through those really tight spaces, man, stuff like that, I can't stand. And I was like, ugh.
You're very claustrophobic.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't like that. That movie we watched, Descent, had a lot of that. And I mean, it almost made me insane. But,
so you don't like the shot of Bishop and aliens?
Oh no, that's
shimming
one.
Down the
I'd be like, if I was an actor and they were like, "Oh, we need you to do that," I'd be like,
No.
No. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is I like the setup and I like the characters for the most part. You know, of course you had the obligatory jerk, but they even try to justify his attitude a little bit. You know,
Sure.
And what I think too I liked is they kind of just said it in passing. Nowadays it feels like, you know, they have to, well, his parents and it was blah blah blah, and it was just sort of like in this one it was like, oh yeah, that, you know, his parents got killed because of a decision an android made, and then the story just moves on.
Yeah. And you know, I thought one of the most compelling characters in the movie was Andy, the android.
Yeah.
Whose name is a little on the nose,
Yeah.
Andy. But yeah, I really like that guy's performance. I thought he was really good.
Yes.
And especially the way he sort of played a dual role. Once he got the memory chip from the other synthetic implanted in himself, he sort of changed his whole demeanor.
He got an upgrade, and it wasn't to his benefit.
No, correct. But yeah,
I just want to say too, I love the fact that they had little discs.
Yeah.
Like little hard drives.
Yeah,
I love that.
Like you put them on, you had to click them in, and
that was more of harkened back to, like, you know, the old Star Trek show where they had the little colored wafers.
Yes. Yeah, the wafers. Yeah, I mean, but that's all the really good attention to detail, because you got to figure, well, I guess Ash would have had something like that, I mean, it's, even though it's never shown, but
just because, it doesn't contradict anything that's been established.
And it fits in with that old school technology. It's not just downloading software. There's actually hardware involved where you got to do something. But so I like what you said about them getting onto the ship, and it not just being some joyride dumb thing where they're like, hey man, let's go check this out, this is going to be awesome. No, there was a reason they were trying to get off this hellhole of a planet they were on, where I guess they were still taking canaries into coal mines.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
It's like, okay, well, I guess whatever works there. But
another thing too is the first thing. Well, no, it wasn't the first time. Was it the first time in an Alien movie where we saw gravity was an issue, or was that in Resurrection? Did they do that?
No, it was water in Resurrection.
Okay,
but yeah, this had a great 0G action sequence, which was really clever, especially with the floating acid blood, just sort of and then of course the plot device of the gravity cycling every few minutes, where they knew that this acid was all going to hit the bulkhead, and so it's a ticking clock, which another ticking clock, of course, was the ship crashing into the rings of that planet, which was also really cool looking when it eventually happened.
Well, this movie had like two halves. There was the first half that was like a classic alien horror movie, and the second half was almost like what do they call that? Body horror.
Body horror.
Yeah.
I
mean, it was some really unexpected and some really disturbing.
Oh, yeah.
That's what made Seth almost vomit.
I don't know which scene it was, but he said he did say, one scene almost made me puke. I kind of could figure out what it was.
Well, but yeah, I thought, I think you're right about the two halves of the movie. I thought it was all very, of course there was the obligatory, jump scares, every few minutes. But, as we entered the ship and, started unlocking doors and everything, we come across an old friend, or an old friend's lookalike, Rook.
All right, real quick,
android.
I want to ask how long did it take you to figure out who that was?
That it was they were going to do the Ian Holm thing.
Yeah.
Well, when they sort of panned over his body, where he's like laying on his face,
I recognized the clothing immediately.
Okay, I was like, well,
But I thought it could just be a similar model.
yeah, I thought, well, that's interesting. And then, when he grabbed her and
That
his
was
face,
the first time you see his profile, and I was like, that looked like Ian Holm.
but see, I didn't catch that because there was a lot of jerking around, and I was like, but then something in me thought, well, they're keeping his face in shadow for a reason, so this is probably going to be somebody. And it turns out that it was Ash, or Ash's twin brother, Rook.
Now, here's a question. Do you think Rook is his model? And they gave him the name Ash as a cover for the movie Alien? Because clearly that's a nod to Bishop from Aliens.
That's interesting.
Because Ash was not supposed to be an android, so he wouldn't have his android name. They would have given him
They would have
like an
called him,
actual name.
yeah, because they were trying to keep secret that he wasn't.
My name is Ash. I am a human like you.
Yeah, I don't think. I don't know. That's a good question because it took me to right now to figure out for you saying it to figure out the Rook Bishop.
Oh,
connection.
really?
Yeah, the chessboard. Man, holy crap, that's pretty cool. No, I mean that's very possible. I don't know. It's like, hey, that's a Rook model. But yeah, I don't know. But I was surprised, and I thought his first appearance, full screen, brightly lit, wasn't that great looking. I thought, to me, it looked very off.
Well, David, what do you think? When you first saw it was Ash, did you think it looked like him, or did you think it looked weird?
I know I recognize his face right off the bat. I definitely recognize his face, but
like, did it ever look weird to you, or was it convincing to you
that it was the same robot or the same model?
I'm just saying, did it look fake at all, or did he look real?
I think that he looked pretty real.
Okay.
Well,
because that actor is dead, and they recreated him in a computer.
Yeah,
that's why I'm asking if you even knew that. Like, did you?
No.
Because I just now realized David wouldn't really know that.
Yeah, that Ian Holm passed away.
Yeah, he was Bilbo Baggins. He died a few years ago. So that was a total recreation in a computer. And
well, I couldn't tell.
See, that's why I'm wondering, like with you and me, Jared. Like,
but because we know that he's dead.
We knew it was fake.
Yeah, this is a trick. And I think maybe our brains tell us that. But then, I found, as the movie went along, it didn't really bother me anymore. And that's because I think some shots definitely looked better than others.
Well, they always seem to have more success when they can take a living actor and youngify him, as opposed to, because it was the same thing with Tarkin with Peter Cushing, because it was the same. It looked as real as it should have looked, but there was just something.
There's always like something your brain's telling you this isn't real, even though if you don't. But I don't think it does if you don't know that. Like, David didn't know Ian Holm was dead, but and David, you just accepted what you saw. You're like, oh, that looks like Ash from Alien.
Yeah.
So,
did you catch that when you saw it? Did you catch it was the same android from Alien?
Yeah, I could definitely tell.
Okay.
Well, one thing they nailed completely was the voice.
Yeah, the voice. But they were able. Well, and we could talk. The voice they were able to distort. And one thing I didn't understand about his face is I felt like they could have done a little more damage to his face to maybe kind of disguise some of that.
Yeah, that's true. But I was impressed with the voice because that just sounded like Ian Holm throughout the whole movie. And even though I know that they can do this now, they can essentially deep fake a voice. It still was really, really cool. And he was in the movie quite a lot.
Yeah, it was definitely not a cameo.
Yeah, he was, he was there moving the plot along uh, quite a bit, and I was surprised how much they sort of leaned into that. Like, okay, well, we're just going to make Ian Holm a cast member of this film. And it's interesting that Fede Alvarez, the director, he he actually, of course, spoke with Ian Holm's widow, and she
Oh, which
saw
one? He was like married like 7 times.
the whichever one he was married to, he died. But she's apparently she watched some of the footage and was quite moved by it, and she loved it.
Oh, okay, cool.
And she thought it was cool that Ian in some way was being able to be part of a alien movie again. So it certainly had the estate's blessing with the use of his image.
Well, even when it didn't look right, and it's the same thing with Tarkin, I didn't care.
No,
because
you
I
did-
just I was like, this is cool. I mean,
yeah,
it's Ash.
he's
they
still
made-
being a weird butthole about everything.
if he could have found a magazine to roll up and stick in someone's
Oh, such a-
mouth for some weird
such a-
reason.
Oh man, that was crazy. But so yeah, we've got Rook, and Rook has obviously been grievously damaged by the alien outbreak.
Yeah.
I
he's-
loved it. I felt like it was when they showed the alien hanging from the ceiling. I felt that was an homage to the action figure. Because the original alien model
had the skull.
had the skull and they covered it with the visor.
Yeah,
But like, if you ever find a used alien figure, 9 times out of 10, that shield's gone and it's the skull.
it's
you
just
see.
like a human skull.
And that's what it looked like to me. Like,
Well,
it
yeah,
was-
you could
it was the
definitely
alien toy hanging from the
because the picture of the corpse we saw, most of the dome was rotted away, and you could see what was underneath it. Yeah, so I thought kind of the same thing, and that is a really creepy sort of, having those. The way that toy looks is very unsettling because it's got the hollow eye sockets underneath the crown there.
Does the skull exist because it came from a human?
I don't know. That's true. It popped out of Kane.
Kane's
So-
son, to quote Ash.
Oh, that's true. Well, we do know from Alien 3 that the alien takes on characteristics of whatever it pops out of. So that could be.
Hmm.
But then again, the aliens in part 2 look. I mean, they look different than the ones in part 1.
Well, they were like warrior aliens. The one
Yeah.
in the movie was I
Yeah.
think a drone. I think is
Okay.
what they're called. They had different, and the ones in the movie are drone or warrior aliens.
Okay, gotcha.
But so they go on the ship, and of course, everything goes south.
Oh man, well, how could it not? So and this was given away in the trailers, but the poor bald Asian woman is immediately taken down, and that was such a cool that's the way that facehugger leaped across the room and just knocked her over.
Yeah.
That was that was a kind of a great shot.
Yeah.
And just like
agree.
bam, and she just falls right over, and then we get, of course, the just the confusion that everybody around her is like, what's happening here? Why is it doing that? And then hey, well, it looks like this thing's keeping her alive. It's breathing for her. So we get all the confusion that initially happens when a facehugger kills someone or attacks someone, and I thought that the scene where they have to kind of tiptoe through the room with all the facehuggers just kind of hanging out. I thought that was clever that they raised the temperature. And that's something I think new that we learned about the creature is that, if
Well, they never really talk about how they're able to find their prey.
Yeah.
Well, that's true, and I guess it's in that way. It's like the predator, in some ways, with the, because the predator is all about the the infrared, looking for. That's how they track down people, is their body heat, and so that they raise the temperature in this room and just start sort of sneaking through it.
I will say one thing, and this goes with the, this is like, and this is fine, but I always like how the gestation period changes on what the story needs it to be. It's the same thing like in The Walking Dead. How fast does somebody turn into a zombie? Well, however long we need this for them to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Does it need to be right away, or
it could be 20 minutes, could be 5 minutes, could be an hour.
It's the same thing with Alien. You get the sense that it takes.
Well, I mean,
I think the one that really blew it out of the water was Resurrection, but you could almost not even count that. But I guess it was pretty quick in the first Alien.
Well, I mean, so I guess it seemed like maybe that was over the course of hours, maybe even overnight in the first movie, where Kane is in the sick bay, and then all of a sudden they check in on him, and the fake facehugger's gone and dead. And then however long after he wakes up is when it just sort of, pops out. So who knows? But that thing has to have a little time to grow, I guess.
Yeah.
And
But
the first time we see that, when it sheds its skin, it cocoons. So that was the first time we saw that.
Yeah, that's the first time we've seen that in its life cycle. Although, there is the deleted scene from Alien where Ripley finds, that whole cocoon wall where it's just goo and,
maggots
and Dallas being slowly eaten
Dissolved.
away.
Now, but the thing I wonder now, is that considered canon? Which version is canon?
So
I would say it's the theatrical.
Well, here's what I've heard, and this is from like alien nerds, where there's no queen, a single drone can produce eggs, but because if you notice in that deleted scene, like
there's an egg there.
Parker is being transformed into an egg. Or I think it's Parker, whoever Harry Dean Stanton
it's Parker.
played.
It's Parker.
Okay, he's being sort of transformed.
No, it's Brett.
Brett. He's being transformed into an egg. So they're like, where there's no queen present, in order to perpetuate the species, that they can create these eggs for facehuggers
out of organic material.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense. I'll accept that.
Yeah. So I think that I don't know if that explains where the dozens of facehuggers come from in Romulus.
Well, I feel like they made those.
Okay, if they cloned them,
because we saw. Okay. Anyway,
well, that goes into the Prometheus stuff.
Well, I want to say, I want to say that I thought the spaceship crash back into the hangar was a really cool scene.
Oh yeah.
When their ship, like they're trying to escape, but then the thing out of the chest. And I don't know if you noticed, but the girl that was pregnant, she was Dora the Explorer.
What?
Yeah.
What was there a live action Dora?
Yeah, there was a live action.
There was a live action Dora.
Yeah,
she was also the little girl in the fourth Transformers movie. No, the fifth one.
I don't even remember. I don't think I ever saw it.
Anyway.
Really? Wow, they grow up so fast, don't they? So, I did think it was an interesting twist on the chest burster to have the X-ray machine. Where you could actually see what was happening, like inside, with the
punching
button up against which is horrendous. But we've sort of just seen the people act out the convulsing and the but
Now,
here we actually kind of saw
as
what's
far as the
happening
horror
internal.
goes, I want to say that had some really cool scenes, like where she's trying to get the door open, and he's having to tell her what button to hit. You know, and then a really great one was when she's standing at the door, and the alien is right behind her, and they're like, "Open the door!" And Andy's like, "Well, he's just using her as bait."
Yes. Yeah, that's true. There's one scene, and this came later in the film, and I thought this was where they were just going to go in a completely different direction. It's in the zero gravity scene, and the alien actually saves Rain. It grabs her. Do you remember when she's falling, and it grabs her to keep her from falling?
Well, yeah, because they want to use her.
Yes, but I thought, are they going to team up with the alien? I was like, that would have been completely out of left field. Like,
now we're friends.
Yeah, did that guy just save her?
So
that wasn't it.
I think this is a good opportunity to go into the second half of the movie, where it was completely out of nowhere. I did not see this coming at all. When Ash starts talking about, we found the original material it was made out of, and they show a hologram of the vase from
the vase.
And it was funny because I turned to David and I said, "That's from Prometheus." And as soon as I said it, Ash goes, "We found in the Prometheus file."
Yes, and complete with musical sting of the Prometheus music.
So I did not expect that. I thought they were going to run from those movies as far and as fast as I could, even though Ridley Scott was a producer on the movie.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad, I think, Mike, you've actually talked on the podcast before about how you really dislike it when a movie series just tries to disavow you of inferior sequels instead of acknowledging them and just moving on. And, I like Prometheus. I'm not a Prometheus hater by any stretch, but I think
I enjoyed it a lot.
I thought it was it does sort of wrap a lot of things. It combines a lot of things you never thought. You never thought you'd hear Ian Holm talking about Prometheus.
Yeah.
But, well, here you are. And I thought that bringing the goo back was sort of I don't know if we're ever going to get the third Ridley Scott prequel Alien movie, the one he always wanted to make that bridged the gap between Covenant and Alien. I think
we'll get it somehow at this point with the success of this movie. Somehow it may not be a movie, but I think the questions at some point will be answered.
They'll tell the story. Ridley Scott's well into his 80s at this point, so the clock is ticking on him to make anything. But it's certainly, I was glad of the acknowledgement, and it was almost like, okay, well, if you're watching these movies in order, then
it's going to pay off.
Here is some sort of acknowledgement of those earlier, or the prequels.
Now, having talked to other people, has anyone had any kind of negativity towards that?
Towards the Prometheus thing?
Yeah.
Well, I saw the film with some bona fide, like, alien fanatics. Naughty Keith, Mike, we used to play Battlefront.
Oh, how is Keith? I haven't talked to him in a long time.
He's good. And he actually wore his Nostromo hat and T-shirt to the screening.
That's awesome.
So, and then there was another...
He's the one who got me to play Alien Isolation finally.
Okay.
Which I'm actually replaying now after seeing that movie, because the director's... If you play that game screams Romulus.
Well, yeah, the director loved that game, apparently.
But Keith is the one who was like, no, man, you got to play this game. It's like one of the best games I've ever played.
Yeah. Well, I thought for 2 seconds I might ask Keith to come on the show and talk about it. but maybe in another time we'll do that because he is an alien freak. But but Keith liked the Prometheus reference, and everybody else I saw the movie with thought, whoa, they were surprised by it. It was unexpected, and I didn't expect them to just completely go there like they did.
Oh, they
Just
went. It wasn't like a mention, and that
No.
leads to. I felt like it almost turned into an H.P. Lovecraft movie because
with the creature.
when that thing, I started watching Critical Drinkers review, and I stopped because I could tell what direction he was going.
Yeah, he hated it
because he's not a fan of the Ridley Scott prequel movies.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna tell you, and I think David, and I'm pretty sure Seth, my other son, felt the same way. That thing was horrifying.
Yes. That thing was gosh. I saw that for the first time and I just didn't even know what I was looking at.
I thought it was way more effective than that weird thing in Resurrection.
I don't even know I've seen Resurrection, but I just can't remember.
Yeah, there was like a hybrid alien baby in that movie too. But this thing was
this one thing borrowed more from the engineers.
From the Prometheus, yeah, because this woman, the pregnant girl,
whoa. I think that's the scene that almost made Seth puke.
Okay. Well,
that was wow. Yeah. That was a wow.
But that's one thing I don't understand was like, why did she inject herself with that stuff?
Well, I think she go ahead, David.
She heard about how they were all talking about how it worked, but we didn't know that it didn't work at that time. But they didn't know.
Well, yeah. What's her face was worried about using it, and I guess she figured she knew she was dying, so she had nothing else to lose.
Yeah.
So she thought it would like give her a boost or whatever.
Yeah.
But you know what?
It gave her a boost.
I really liked. Oh gosh, that scene was everything about that was so disturbing. I liked how the hibernation chamber like rejected her.
Yeah, it was like,
nope. No thanks.
Get this out of me.
Yep.
Yeah. It's so she put her Rain put her to sleep thinking, okay, well, this is okay now.
Everything's good.
And it totally was not. It got so much worse. There was a nice little birthing scene.
Yeah. Gosh.
With lots of liquid.
And, see, I need to watch it again because so much happened. I can't even remember all of it. My brain couldn't process all of it.
Well, I don't think you knew right at first. Like all you saw, like it came out in this, this sack.
Well, it looked like a baby. It did look like a baby.
And when the sack started to open, you saw like a human-looking face.
Mm-hmm.
Little did we know,
which was really creepy.
Yeah,
that was really creepy.
I was really shocked that it looked so much like the engineers from Prometheus. I was really surprised by that. But it's all spindly looking and all. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I mean, I was genuinely because
that was like when the movie just turned into a straight horror film. Like the whole feel of the movie was kind of terrifying, but that was where it like went up a new notch.
I feel like and also I didn't want her to go near it. You know what I mean? It's like it was so disturbing. I was like, just good gosh, do what you need to do and get as far away from that horrible thing as possible. I mean, it was just so horrible.
Didn't it like start sniffing her or something?
Like I said, thinking back on, I can't even remember a lot because my brain just couldn't.
Well,
what
happened was Rain went into the area where the sack had gone, and it like we remember there was that shot where it like crawled above her.
Yes.
Yeah, and then it went back to where I guess its mother was.
Oh
Yes.
gosh, and it was like feeding on her.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
eating
it
her.
was.
It
It was.
started eating her.
What was disturbing for me was whenever like it ate her and you could like see her body with like the eyes rolled up, and I was just like, oh,
Yeah,
that
it
just
was munching on her
disgusting.
like neck.
Yeah, I know, and it looked like it was like a part of it just like hanging off. It was so disturbing.
And then he
And
turns
then
around with that like that just that very placid engineer face, like
yeah,
It's
with its
Yeah.
creepy alien albino body.
yeah, that was yeah, it did have a weird face, but
That was
the
completely-
combination of the face and the body was just terrifying.
yeah, it was very off-putting. I think that was certainly the intention, because it was that was just the cherry on top. And then, of course, it's after it's exposed to the vacuum of space, it comes back and starts to look even worse, as it's decaying away, or whatever's happening to it being exposed to vacuum. It's all very disturbing.
Now, see,
Yeah.
God, that's funny how, man, there was just so much going on. I got to rewatch that movie.
You don't remember?
But I will say one of my
Yeah.
favorite shots in the whole movie was when she's hanging from the wire in space and she sees the rings beneath her. I just thought that was an amazing shot.
Yeah, that looked really cool. That
Yeah.
was very well done. And I thought all the zero G stuff looked really convincing too.
Yeah,
I mean, it didn't appear to me, that they were being tugged by wires or anything.
no,
I mean,
it definitely looked very convincing, and I think that one of the things that I really liked was how much they did with the face huggers, because I feel like all the other movies did like nothing with the face
Mhm.
huggers. They just like showed up
yeah,
and put the egg inside of somebody, but there were so many like intense scenes with the face huggers, and I really
Yeah.
liked that.
yeah. I think this is definitely was a face hugger. This was a face hugger heavy alien
Yeah.
film for
And
sure.
I liked that. I liked that.
Yeah, because the face huggers are creepy in their own right.
Yeah,
They're people don't like spiders.
Yeah,
they,
and
they look like
look like
giant
spiders.
spiders. And the way, and something to me was very unsettling about how when they were in that room with them, when they
Yeah.
were just sort of milling around. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't like that at all. I don't want to see face huggers just sort of, hey, how's it going? Just walking. I'm just walking here. I didn't
Yeah,
like
they-
it.
Yeah, they
It just, and I loved Andy's delivery of the run,
yeah,
run.
and then
When everything, of course, you knew that was going to happen when they were
Yeah.
walking through there. And they're like, run.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like, what kind of movie would it be if they got to the other side and like, well, we made it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
that-
got here. That's great.
But I think,
know.
having said that, what we just talked about in the other scenes is this movie was a really good movie about making you feel like you're in the movie.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like this director, I've seen this. It's kind of surprising to me that he's only done 2 other movies. But
Did you see his Evil Dead movie?
yeah, it was good. I mean, it
Okay.
actually was really good. And Don't Breathe is, I mean, I didn't love it or anything, but I mean, it wasn't. I mean, it was definitely like well made for
Uh-huh.
sure. But it was kind of interesting to see him go from those 2 movies to this. And
Mhm.
but no, he did a good job. And I mean, watching it, I can see why some people wouldn't like it because it leans so heavily on those other movies, which
Yeah.
I don't understand why that's a problem.
Well, I do have to
think-
say,
Because I think you've done all you can do with the Alien.
well, maybe. And we'll circle back to that. But one thing we've talked about is I did find a lot of the homages very
Oh yeah,
distracting and like on the nose.
but there was only one that bothered me. All the
Was
other
that
ones,
Get Away From Her?
yeah,
Yes.
that felt completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
Everything else was just like whatever.
I didn't like the way they ended it with her, sort of repeating Ripley's final
Yeah.
radio message. I
Yeah,
mean, I
that was
thought that was a
It was
little
just a
much.
complete.
But
recreation.
I did chuckle at the beginning of the movie when she's eating with Andy, and she's like, "Can I have some of that cornbread?" Which is from Aliens, when
Oh,
all the Marines are sitting around and, "Hey, give me some of that cornbread."
I didn't
I
catch
don't,
that.
but so what you say that that Alien is pretty much, I mean, it is tapped out. I mean,
Well, I think one thing we have to remember, and I don't know, David, when you saw Alien, did you have any familiarity with this creature at all?
No, I basically knew nothing about it.
I think nowadays it's like there's comic books, there's
Yeah,
action
there's
figures.
so
I
much
mean, there's
stuff.
like aliens everywhere on
Hmm.
t-shirts. And when the first Alien came out, I mean, that movie genuinely freaked people out because of the alien. They had never
mhm.
seen anything like it. And then when Aliens came out, I mean, you still had not been, that was still before action figure, we had the one toy. But I
Yeah.
remember, I remember when I heard about the sequels in school and somebody said, yeah, they're making a sequel to Alien. It's going to be called Aliens. And I was like, wow, I mean, that's more, you mean more than one? That's like that's like a great idea, and it's such a simple. The title says it all,
Yeah.
and it's so. And so I think we've gotten to the point where it's really difficult to make the aliens scary.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think Alien and this film, and to some degree, Alien 3. It's all like they're all like haunted house movies
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
where you're
Monster in the
moving
House.
through or there's a psycho killer in this place and he's waiting to take. And I think that formula can be repeated effectively. I mean, I think this movie proves that, but it's just a matter of you know you kind of have the alien now as a baseline, and like, so what are you going to do with that? Like,
Yeah,
the audience, everybody knows what the alien can do,
Yeah.
what's involved with the alien, but
Yeah.
so I think the challenge going forward is building a story around that's interesting, and I think that you still can. Okay, so David, I'll ask you this. So they sort of, do you think that um, do you think that there will be a sequel to this, and what do you think? Where do you think they could go with it?
Hmm.
Pertaining to, I'm not talking about another alien film dealing with other things. I'm talking about carrying on with Andy and Rain when they put
Uh.
themselves into hypersleep and they go off to their place.
Uh. That's kind of hard because I really don't know how they're gonna, if they're gonna do a sequel
Hmm.
or if they're not. I just can't really. I just don't
well,
really know.
I think the
Really.
danger of doing a sequel with these characters or again would be the kind of the thing that happened with Ripley is like how many times can you put these characters
Yeah.
in this situation?
Yeah, yeah, and I think Alien 3 was a bit of a cheat because
Oh yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
find out after the fact that there were eggs on the Sulaco, and followed her down to this planet she went to in Alien 3. Um, but that wasn't earned, I don't think. That was just sort of a convenience they made up and said, "Oh, look, you missed this. Look, there's an egg here. They put it there at the end of the second movie. You just never saw it." Which, that doesn't really hold water. But
No, and I've grown to appreciate Alien 3, especially the extended cut, but that part it's hard to get past that shot of those eggs sitting there in
yeah,
their hyper chamber because you're like, how on earth did those things get there?
yeah. Well, did the queen just walk on board? And they didn't see him at the end of the movie when she's putting everybody to bed. Oh,
Yeah, I
hey,
mean,
Ripley, what's that from the ceiling? Oh,
well, the
crap.
good news is you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, because you'll be dead soon. um, well, yeah. So you're right. It would be a bit of a stretch to follow these characters, many light years to their destination, and
Maybe
wake
they
up.
find David.
Oh, maybe that's how you finish your Covenant trilogy. That's interesting. Yeah, that's Michael Fassbender could come back and play him one more time. Interesting. But what I was, I was just happy that I went to the movies and I had a great time. I thought that seeing another alien film that was well made and scary and
Yeah.
gross and off-putting, which is exactly what you want in an alien film. I thought it was well done, and
Very nice.
I'm glad I saw it, and I'll buy it on 4K when it comes out. Mike, what say you?
Yeah, I would say it will look good between my Alien and Aliens, but my Alien and Aliens are in a box set, so it'll be impossible to
Oh
get.
no, not the OCD. You're like, oh no. So you would definitely put this on the shelf with
real quick, and then
Okay.
we had one more person who saw it. Seth,
Okay.
quick words on Alien Romulus.
All right, ask him what made
Real
him
quick.
throw up.
It was good, and the end was terrifying.
What part almost made you throw up?
The chest burster, because of how close the close-up scene of it was.
Okay.
It was like right up against it, and you could just see everything.
Talking about inner sternum there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the end part with the xenomorph offspring.
Oh yes, with all
Terrifying.
the various liquid and blood and afterbirth. Thank you, Seth. That was we were wondering what part almost made you puke. But David, any final words on Alien Romulus before we sign off?
I just think that it was really so far it's definitely my favorite movie that I've seen that was made in this year. And I just think that it's what Alien really needed right now.
Yeah.
Rank,
it's definitely
real quick. Let's do a rank.
Okay. Go you go with your rank, David.
From like worst to best.
Yes.
Worst to
Okay.
best.
So there are only two that I absolutely hate, and which are my least favorite is Alien 3, and there goes Alien Resurrection, and then Alien Covenant, and then Prometheus, and then Romulus, and then Aliens, and then the first one.
Good deal. Mike, your ranking.
Okay, best to worst. I'm gonna have to go Alien, Aliens. I'm gonna go Prometheus because I really, really like Prometheus.
Okay.
Romulus, Covenant. Probably
Alien.
Covenant and Alien 3 are kind of no. I'd say Covenant's above Alien 3. Alien 3, and then I think Resurrection is kind of terrible. I can watch it. It's got stuff that's watchable, but it's a kind of a stupid movie.
Yeah, but most thing that I remember about Alien Resurrection is that one scene where all the xenomorphs kill that one xenomorph.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and you just can't see what's going on.
Well, I can't watch that movie now without looking at Sigourney Weaver and thinking she looks like Glenn Danzig. So,
Glenn Danzig, man. Well, I think Mike, my ranking sort of almost mirrors yours. I would definitely put the first two on top. Aliens. Again, very close. I would say a tie between Prometheus and Romulus. And then I'm going Alien 3, Covenant, and Resurrection.
and I know this is unpopular opinion, but I actually like Alien versus Predator Requiem. I know it's a bad movie, but I like Jaws 3 and I like AVP Requiem.
Oh gosh, I didn't know that you like Jaws 3.
I love Jaws 3.
Wow.
It's just so goofy.
Do you like
bad.
Superman 3?
No, I hate that movie.
Okay. Well, that's great. Good discussion, gang. David, please come back and join us anytime. It's always good to hear the
Youth.
opinions of a
the
young
youth.
man like yourself, because me and your father are old. And right now, so what we're gonna go do is hop in the hyper sleep cryo chambers, and maybe when
Hopefully
we
there
wake
are
up.
no face huggers lurking about.
No, I don't want to give birth to some to some gooey sack full of engineer spider goo. Oh boy. All right, everybody. Thanks again for listening. We are going to sign off now. David, thanks again. Mike, maybe next time Matt will join us. Who knows? But we will see you next time.
Bye.
You know you can't live without this content. So subscribe to The Hyperspace, podcasting in the 25th century. Follow us on social media, leave us a review, and join us next time as we take you into the 25th century.